All right, and we are live. All right, I'm so freaking excited, so honored to have David Meltzer here on the Move Happy Movement podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Ah, what a great way to spend my day.
And it's Valentine's Day of all times. Awesome. For those that don't know your background, huge in the sports agency marketing space, you've got your own company, multi-billion-dollar revenue coming in. You work with all high-level athletes, and I'm sure you've got just a powerful story that people just don't even know about, the struggle that you've gone through in your life and whatnot. How the heck did you get to where you are today?
It's having a philosophy that was instilled in me early on in my life, which was to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of my potential. And I think as I look, it's easy to determine that and define that as I look back from the time that I was 5 years old with, 6 kids and a single mom.
Wow.
To the times where I was a multimillionaire, to the times where I lost over $100 million. By surrounding myself with the wrong people and the wrong ideas. But through all of it, it was that philosophy, as I have defined it now, is enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, living with gratitude,
Yes.
forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration.
Love that. Love that. That's beautiful. And you've been through an incredible amount. That's a lot to digest, just hearing it. So going through it and living through it in your life, I'm sure you've come across some days where, your mindset, you had to be in the game. You had to keep a positive mindset despite all of the shit, pardon my French, going around you. So what are some tips that you could share with the audience to keeping a positive mindset if they're athletes or if they're looking to get in the sports, field, or just in general, just to be successful in their business?
There's 5 real key tips that I like to give. The first is know your own values. So
Yes.
when I determine my values, personal, experiential, giving and receiving each day, I determine those values for the day. I don't have a lifetime of values. I literally adjust my values every day, and they're not balanced. They're not balanced. Today is much more personal and experiential, being Valentine's Day, than it is receiving. I was focused in on my activity I get paid for today, but that's okay. Second is to know 2 series of questions. The first is a series of questions in order to ask people how you can be of service or provide value. And then also the more difficult series of questions, which is to ask people how they can help you, or if they know anybody that can help you, or anything that can help you. The third thing, piece and tip, is to be a student of your calendar. And there's 3 parts of your calendar, and I call it the Meltzer kaleidoscope. You got to have a certain lens or perspective when you study your calendar. You pay attention to your calendar, you give intention to your calendar, and it'll equal the coincidences, the mathematical occurrence of things occurring at the right way at the perfect time for you. But that kaleidoscope is one of productivity. So you study your calendar with a lens of productivity. How much value can you provide? A lens of accessibility. How accessible am I to others? And how accessible am I to what I want? And then finally, the lens of gratitude, finding the lessons, the love, the light, and everything that you do. You have to have a get to do attitude, a try me attitude, not a why me, I have to do attitude. And so looking through that kaleidoscope, there's 3 areas to study in your calendar. The first is everything that you have planned, the activities, personal, in person, on the phone, via email or media that you have planned, radio, print, TV, social media, whatever you have planned. Then you have to study what you don't have planned. I call that the white space of your calendar, the empty space of your calendar. And once again, really study that and pay attention to how productive, accessible, and gracious you are. And then finally, the one that nobody studies, very few people, which is the habit that we all share. It's the most common habit we share, that we spend the most time doing, which is sleep. So I make sure that I'm studying when I am sleeping, the subconscious and unconscious connection that I have to the most powerful sort of some light, energy, and love that exists. And so studying those 3 things for tip number 3, to be a student of your calendar, will change your life. The fourth of the 5 is to be present. And I actually give that a pragmatic form. It's called do it now. Being a sports guy, I always like to tell people, the one thing I know for sure in life is 100% of short putts don't go in. So 100% of all short putts don't get in. But in the business world, I know one statistic to be true. 100% of the things that you do now get done. And so I have a philosophy of do it now. I ask myself at all times, can I do it now? And if I can, I do it. That makes
Love that.
me the most efficient as well as statistically successful of anybody that you'll know. But I
Yeah.
also have a philosophy and a system when I can't do something now, I reposit it. I put it into a list, a folder, an email, a writing, so that I can go back to it, prioritize it by, as Roosevelt suggested, by what's most important first. If
Mm,
something's urgent, I just delegate it. I don't worry about it, but I prioritize things by importance.
mhm.
And then finally, and most importantly, the last tip that I have for everyone is to practice ending fear, and understand that, through that journey that exhausted you, as I explained it, the ups and the downs, the rags to the riches, the rags to the riches. What
Yeah.
I learned to do was practice ending fears. You talked about having days where things may not be going the way as planned, or you called it, the shit days. I
Yeah.
had shit weeks and shit months, and other people would perceive them as shit years. But I practiced ending fear. How fast could I go back to that place of peace, love, joy, lessons, and light?
Yes.
And today at 52, I'm really good at it. I may spend minutes and shit. And every day I do, by the way, I spend minutes, but not
Mhm.
hours, not days, not
Yeah.
weeks, not months, and definitely not years. But when shit happens, I get back to center in minutes, not hours, not days, not weeks, not months or years. And so those are the 5 tips. Know your values, learn how the 2 series of questions to ask, be a
Mhm.
student of your calendar, be present by doing it now, prioritizing what's important first if you can't do it now. And then finally, most importantly, practice ending fear, stay in the right
Yeah.
trajectory of truth consciousness. Don't accelerate into the ego-based consciousness that just creates a huge void, interference, corrosion. These shortages, voids, and obstacles are all created by the ego.
I love that. Great tips. Thank you for that. Second pillar of Move Happy is about building community. And, I'm sure you've had a lot of experience working with athletes and just the people that you come across every day, like your amazing team that helps set up this, even this interview, Alex and Jake. What are some tips you've learned along the way to build community? Because in business, it could be tough, trusting people and whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's a big issue. And so, for me, I don't define myself by what other people think they do or believe. I
Hmm.
define myself, and my job is to add value to those other people and to give
Yeah.
them my value. So I build a community through my own activity. And through that activity, I set my own expectations. If someone's not aligned with my values, then I go ahead and separate myself or allow them to fall off. I'm not afraid to fire friends. I'm not afraid to fire employees.
Hmm.
If the values are not aligned, I can't change those values.
Yep.
But if people are pursuing the same values that I pursue, if they're
Hmm.
pursuing gratitude and forgiveness and accountability, and they're learning the lessons at whatever stage they are, that's what builds a community. And I think anyone that comes to our office knows that we have extraordinary energy because of that. And when
Hmm.
people come into contact with our team, as well as my family, by the way, it's a different energy. It's a higher frequency because
Yeah.
we all share values together, and things work much more efficiently, effectively, and statistically successful.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that. That's
Thank you.
excellent. So third pillar of Move Happy, of course, is movement related. It started in a psychiatric hospital when I worked there, very, very low budget, $100 split between 15 of us staff to add
Nice.
value to our patients. So I was like, okay, they're needing a fitness program. They're watching the same DVD every day for their workout, and that's terribly boring. So I wanted to create something better for them. I knew the financial structure was $0. So
Yeah.
we did a workout program for 16 weeks, different workouts, minimal equipment. And I wanted it to be fun for them. So with that in mind, what are some of your favorite ways to move your body, whether it's sports related or just any movement in general that you enjoy doing?
So first of all, the best piece of advice that I've ever heard when I was doing a panel with like CEOs of huge companies and I was looking
Mhm.
for entrepreneurial advice was
Yeah.
find something that you love to do an hour a day movement wise.
Yes.
If you find that for the rest of your life, it's the most important thing. In fact, I shifted my own values to a minimum of an hour a day on my health. Uh,
Good.
and so for me, my favorite activities are varied. I'm very much, I love to have some sort of mostly 30 minutes of cardio of some sort every day.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
And it varies. I don't do the same thing. It literally could be running, elliptical, rowing. I want to get a deep sweat in that 30 minutes. I go at
Yeah.
it. And so some HIIT training in the 30, but all cardio, then stretching for a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy that, and then balance as well. I combine that with the stretching. So I think that as you get older, balance is so essential to what you do. A
Yeah.
lot of people end up in very difficult times, not just because they're not moving, because they
Mm-hmm.
haven't practiced consistently their balance.
Yeah.
And when the bones get a little bit more brittle and we fall, it can cause, a real detriment in a spiraling, as you probably have occurred. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing that I tell people, I think you need about a minimum of an hour a day on your health. So whatever that looks like for you, if it's
Mm-hmm.
walking or dancing or, sit-ups, I don't care. Find
Mm-hmm.
something you love to do for a minimum of an hour a day, mix it up. And the best part about exercise is it's free.
Yes.
It is absolutely, and it's the best thing you can do. It's the number one priority in my life. I put it before my family. Put it before the activity I get paid for, because the minute you don't put your health in front of your family or the activity you get paid for, you'll never concentrate on your health. You'll always
Yep.
make the decision to hang out with your kids. You'll always make the decision to make
Yep.
more money. So put health first, and I do that 365 days a year, 366 this year.
I love it. Me too. That's awesome. And you're spot on about it being fun and something that, whoever's listening to this podcast, that once we get it aired, whoever's listening to it, whatever they enjoy, that's key, number one. And that's why I wanted to ask you what you enjoy, so that people can hear from different thought leaders on
Yeah,
what they enjoy doing for their movement. Doesn't mean that they can't do it too, or they can find a different one, but it's free. And there's so many people that don't move. About 90% of my patients in the hospital were obese, because we got a monthly chart and their BMI and whatnot. And it was an incredible thing to do something free for them and to see them become happier from their own self-report in 16 weeks. So, and improve their fitness too. So it's incredible. What are you really focused on, really excited about, that we can support you with at Move Happy?
So for me, I'm on a mission, and that mission I'm super excited about, because I learned at a young age from a great Steve Jobs, as a mentor of mine, told me to connect the dots backwards with anything I wanted to do. And I've always had a difficult time with connecting the dot backwards on making billions of dollars. I just could never do hundreds of millions, fine, but billions, it got out of my reach. But once I shifted my paradigm to a mission of impacting over 1 billion people in my life to be happy. So what you can help me with is, I am looking for 1,000 people to impact 1,000 people, to impact 1,000 people to be happy. You're one of those already, obviously. But, the math was so much fun for me, because for the first time, I want to have a huge impact on the world. And if I create happiness with over 1 billion people, it will have a huge impact, a collective consciousness. Happiness will change the world. And I really believe that through the TV shows that I have, like Elevator Pitch and, World's Greatest Motivators and Beyond the Secret, the movie, and the stages that I get to impact people on, and interviews like this, as well as my own individual coaching and book writing and all the other things I do, I can easily impact 1,000 people like you to impact 1,000 people to impact me. It's not a huge chore. Trying to figure out how to make $100 billion like Bezos, I haven't gotten there yet, but I know that I have the skill. Like it's so clear in my mind that this is such an easy thing for me to do, as long as I stay focused and on it, and every single time tell people, hey, this is what I want to do. Happiness will cure so much, as just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually. If we can create this collective consciousness, happiness is abundance. There will be enough of everything for everyone. And this will be an incredible place. It'll be the world that I get to live in for everyone.
I love it. And so for those that do want to connect with you, and who wouldn't after all of that was just said, what's the best way they can connect with you?
Just knowing my name, David Meltzer. So at David Meltzer on YouTube, LinkedIn. The only thing that's not David Meltzer is my website, which is DMeltzer. And then I also have a text number. So if you could post that up there, 949 298-2905, 949-298-2905. I have a text community. I text back and forth. I do free meetups, free speeches, free books.
Awesome.
Right, that's the easiest way. I lower all the barriers to help people to impact their lives by making everything for free. So please reach out. I'd love to help whoever I can. And have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. And one last fun question
All right, let's do it.
from the
I
audience.
thought I could sneak away.
We have one, well, we had a few questions, but this one I thought really tied in and was interesting from Northern Exposure Podcast. He wanted to know if you have any ties to or you invested in any youth sports programs.
The biggest one. So I actually am a founding investor in Overactive Media, which is the 4th largest esport team in the world. I'm also the Chancellor of Junior Achievement University for entrepreneurs 15 to 25, 100 million alumni in that group. And
Wow.
their chancellors are Bob Proctor and Jack Canfield and Sharon Lecter and Brian Tracy. Just an extraordinary amount of information for everyone. But yeah, I'm a huge esports. It's a great equalizer. Men, women, height, weight, size, shape, any formation can play esports, and keep your eye on it. It's the best investment that I've made into sport, and I think it's the future of sport. I'm just hoping when they incorporate more movement into it, which I know they will through AR.
Awesome. Well, you've been amazing. We'd love to have you come back on the show down the road to just see your progress and all things new in your world. Thank you again for taking the time today.
You make me happy. I'm answering the question behind you. So thank you.
Yay.
I appreciate it.